In the second half of this lesson, we're going to work on writing the systems of equations and then solving it. Okay, so we'll be looking for the two answers, the x and the y, as we solve this. In this part of the lesson, when you're solving, you get to choose whether you're using the substitution or the elimination method. Okay, I tend to want to use the substitution, but if you like the elimination method better and you felt like you were really good at that, please use that method. All right, so here is our first example. Feel free to pause so that you can reread it before I start working through how I would go about solving it. So remember these problems, there's multiple ways to go about finding equations and interpreting word problems. And this one is number 9 from your homework. Okay, so on this one, you should have noticed that you will be looking to find out where there were how many small cars rented and how many large cars rented. That's the ultimate goal. So let's work through this problem and break down the words into equations so that we can solve systems of equations. A group of college students are going to the lake house for the weekend and plan on renting small cars. Okay, small cars and large cars. There's that and, so this is part of our system. Anytime I see an and, I think, oh, I'm writing two things. To make the trip. Each small car can hold 5 people. Okay, so small is 5 cars, and each large car can hold 8 people. So large cars is 8. Okay, a total of 5 cars were rented. So I know one of my equations is going to equal 5 because that's the total of cars. And then I think, okay, well, what kind of cars were rented? That's right, small and large cars were rented to get a total of 5 cars, which can hold 34 people all together. Oh, this all together word means that when I add something, it equals 34. So we have to think back to those early elementary when we learned those words and what they meant in math. So all together means I'm going to add 2 things together. I'm going to add 2 kinds of people together to get 34. Oh, 5 people can fit in a small car. So how would I write that if I think, well, 5 people can go in 1 car, 10 people can go in 2 cars, 15 people can go in 3 cars. That's right, I'm multiplying by 2. So I'm taking my cars and my people, taking my cars, multiplying by 2. Sorry, my cars were multiplying by 5 here. It's going up, going the change. Okay, you could look at and make a table and think about your rise over your run or your slope would be 5. So you would say there's 5 people in a small car plus 8 people in a large car. So together, 5 people go in the small car and 8 people go in the large car to get a total of 34. So now that we have our 2 equations written for our systems, we can go about solving. We can solve for the amount that go in the small car, and we can solve for the amount that go in the large car. And you do that by saying, I'm going to use the substitution method. But first, I have to rewrite this equation because this doesn't allow me to substitute. As soon as I look through there, I think, well, it doesn't tell me what S equals or what L equals. So I can rewrite this into an or statement. So I could say, or I can make this into an equivalent statement by rearranging it. So if I subtract the L from both sides, I can rewrite this as S, small cars, equals 5, take away the L. Oh, that helps. So sometimes you can rewrite those equations to help them make sense. Now that I know what S equals, I can take my 5, take away L, and I can substitute it in place of the S, and I can rewrite my equation. I can do 5, keep the 5, replace it with the 5, take away the L, plus the 8L equals 34. Substitute things in, or you're going to distribute. So now after I substituted, I'm going to distribute. 25, take away 5L, plus 8L equals 34. Continue solving by, I'm going to next combine my like terms. 5L plus 8L, negative 5L plus 8L is 3L. Rewrite. So then I end up with 25, take away 3L equals 34. Continue solving. My goal is to still get L by itself. So this is a positive 25, so I need to subtract 25 from both sides. Negative 3L equals 34, take away 25, which is 9. Divide both sides by negative 3, so that you get L equals negative 3. What? That doesn't seem right. There's no way that I can get a negative 3 cars. So go back through the problem. Where did I make a mistake? That doesn't work. So sometimes you have to look back for where you make the mistake. Oh, right here. How did I get the negative 3? Negative 5 plus 8 is not a negative 3. It's a positive 3. So this should have been positive 3 the whole way down, which means that was 9 divided by 3, which is a positive 3. Now I'll tell you, this is probably one of the most common mistakes that I'm seeing on your work, where you're messing up on the negative sign. It's so easy to do. But when these word problems, we should make sure our answer makes sense. Okay, so then now that we have L, we have to find S. Okay, so we know that there are 3 large cars needed to rent. What about the small cars? So now that I have a value for my large cars, I can come back up into my simple equation and find my small cars. So I can rewrite S equals 5, take away, instead of L, put 3. So S equals 2. That means that there are 2 small cars needed. And I can go back and I can plug that into any of those scenarios to help that make sense. Let's look at another example. All right, in this problem, Abigail and her children went into a movie theater and she bought $71.50 worth of drinks and pretzels. So, spending drinks and pretzels together makes $71.50. I can look at that piece of my writing and I can turn that into an equation. I know that D represents drinks and P represents pretzels to equal a total of $71.50. Okay, and I'm going to do that before I ever go on. I know the money that I spend on drinks and the money I spend on pretzels has to equal the money that I spend on altogether. It says each drink costs $4. So the drink, $4 per drink. So 4 times however many drinks I buy makes that 4D. And $4.75 on each pretzel. Okay, so $4.75 times however many pretzels I buy. If I take 10 kids and I buy them each a pretzel, that's $4.75 per pretzel. So I would multiply that $4.75 times my pretzels, times my P. Okay, so I'm breaking that down step by step. She bought a total of 16 drinks and pretzels. Well, I use D for drinks, and means to add, P for pretzels equals 16, which is my total. Okay, the total of 16 for the drinks and pretzels. It's not 16 drinks, 16 drinks and pretzels. That's why I'm adding those together. All right, determine the number of drinks. As I thought, we have to figure out how many drinks and the number of pretzels. I could plug and chug this one until I get it to work, but I don't need to. I could try one, drink, price, one pretzel price until I got to work, but I don't have to because I know how to use systems of equations. But I want this basic equation here to show me how much like drinks are going to cost. So I can rearrange this. So I can move these pretzels to the other side by subtracting the p from both sides. And that ends up giving me an equivalent equation of d equals 16 minus p. Now I know what one of my variables means. So then I can take my value for d and drop it in place of my equation. Okay, and then I'm going to rewrite that. For, instead of d, I'm going to put parentheses 16 minus p plus 4.75 p equals 7150. Okay, next thing I need to do, after I've rewritten my equation, I need to distribute. 4 times 16 is 64. 4 times negative p is negative 4p. Keep writing. Come back and solve this equation. Continue to work to get those p's. Next thing I need to do is combine my like terms. A negative 4p plus 4.75p. When I combine those like terms, I end up with 0.75p. Still have that 64 equals 7150. I'll lower those words for a second. Continue my work. So I'm going to subtract 64 from both sides because I'm trying to solve for p. I end up with 75p. 7150 take away 64 is going to leave me with $7.50. Still trying to solve for p. Divide both sides by 75. P equals 10. So that tells me that Abigail bought 10 pretzels. And now that I know my pretzels, it's easy to figure out my drinks. I go back up to my basic equation that's asking me to find my drinks. Drinks is the same as 16 take away the p. And drinks is what I'm solving for, but I know p now, okay? So I can replace the p with the number 10. Make sure you're showing both steps of this when you're showing your work for the problems. 16 take away 10 is 6. Drinks means that Abigail bought 6 drinks and 10 pretzels. Go back to see if that makes sense. Go back to your word. And we said up there in the words that the number of drinks that she bought and pretzels all together was 16. So 6 plus 10 makes 16. That's correct. So always go back and check your work. Solving word problems is very high level thinking. We've talked about this throughout the year. We have word problems. Now we're building systems of equations. You guys have been good at finding equations out of the words. Now you're looking for systems of equations. Take each set of your words, break them down, think about what it means. If you're talking about each, it means you're multiplying. And means add. All together means equals. So come back to what those words mean. All right, do the best you can. This assignment is a completion grade.